I read a report this week which horrified me. Reports of increasing threats of people being trampled to death by cows. Obviously, most of that happens in the country because that's where cows are. People cross fields, they see a herd of cows. Cows are, generally speaking, very docile. Occasionally things can happen involving cows with their calves, or something might spook the cow. But apparently there is an increase now in the number of people who are suffering, if not death, then serious injuries, and it's something we've got to have a look at. I've got a personal interest here, folks. Sometimes down in Stockbroke, Surrey, I can walk across a golf course to the other side, and then I go over a stile, and I walk down a field full of cows, and beyond the field, of course, is a beautiful English hostelry where I like to arrive safely and then leave safely later on. Obviously, later on, I may not have my wits about me as much as I did earlier on, but I don't want to become a victim of cows. So I'm going to talk to a guy who's going to tell us all about this and the fact that actually you don't have a huge chance of being trampled to death by a cow in this country. And the man I'm going to talk to is Stuart Roberts, Deputy President of the National Farming Union. Stuart, thanks very much indeed for joining me this evening.
It's a pleasure, Mike.
OK, now why am I reading a report that more and more people are suffering injury at the hands or the feet of cows, I should say, and sadly, some people are being trampled under to death?
That they are, Mike. We've had 3 incidents of fatalities in a very short period of time.
Yeah.
Over the last few weeks, but it is still a incredibly low risk. I think we are seeing more people in the countryside at the moment. I think as a response actually to COVID and lockdown, and so long as people act responsibly, then it is an exceptionally low risk. But you know, cows are large animals. They can weigh up to 3/4 of a ton, and like any animal, they can be unpredictable. But it's about minimising the risks, and as I say, very, very low risk. When you think there's nearly 3 billion visits to the countryside, most of those for walking, and we've got 140,000 odd miles of footpaths in the country.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with all that. What spooks a cow then? What should human? You know, you're an expert here, so the millions of people listening to this broadcast, what should humans not do when they're in the company of cows?
Okay, there's a few very simple ones. The first one, you touched about cows and calves, Mike, earlier when you were talking. Do not get between cows and calves. It's like any mother and child; they may well feel threatened. So please don't walk between cows and calves. The other one,
I mean, can you actually see that? I'm sorry to interrupt there, mate, but sorry, Stuart. Can you actually, you know, I've walked across fields many times and I'm never conscious of saying, right, there's the cow, there's the calf. How do you know which cow is the mother of the calf?
Well, the reality is if they are quite close together, it's pretty obvious generally which is. If they're far apart, then there isn't such an issue. You haven't got to match them in a 50-acre field. But the most important points to remember, Mike, and thanks for giving us the opportunity to talk about this, is actually most incidents happen, not all, but most incidents happen when a dog is involved.
Right.
And there's 2 key lessons we've all got to have when we go in the countryside. Keep your dog on a short lead and keep it under control, and if the dog starts to be chased by cows, if the dog is disturbing cattle, let go of the lead. It's really important to let go of the lead. The dog will run away, the cows will chase the dog, and generally dogs are quicker than cows, and they will run away from you. But please keep it on the lead, and if it feels threatened, then let go of that lead.
No, I think that's very sensible advice, because if you hold on to the dog, you then become the target because you're the keeper of the dog. If you let the dog go, as you quite rightly say, I've never seen a cow reach 35 miles an hour chasing an Alsatian, you know, or a Spaniard.
That's absolutely right. A Spaniard even, but Spaniel possibly.
There won't be too many Spaniards in my part of the world running across fields away from cows.
Well, look, one of the things for me, we've seen a massive increase in people coming through the farm, people using footpaths. We saw just over 2,000 people walk through my farm in Hertfordshire one bank holiday earlier in May. I still see lots and lots of people not keeping their dogs on leads when they're around animals. It is really, really important that people do that. The other one, and there's a number of other lessons in this, try and stay calm. don't run. If you run, you become something that gets chased.
Right.
So walk steadily, walk calmly, walk swiftly to the nearest exit. And if you can walk around groups of animals, even if the footpath is running through the middle of the animals, walk round them. But there's one further point, Mike, which is slightly frustrating one actually. For a number of years now, we've been arguing with government and lobbying government to allow us to put temporary diversions in place where there may be animals, for example. And actually, some of the walking organisations have been very anti this. This would reduce risk. It would be a really helpful thing to do. And we're really asking, government again, particularly in light of these rare, but we have seen 3 fatalities recently, that ability to temporarily allow diversions. You can still enjoy the countryside. You can still see where your food comes from. You can still walk to that hostelry, Mike, but we can all make sure we do so in a responsible and safe way.
Indeed, we definitely can. Well, Stu, thanks very much indeed. That's vital lessons there to all you. We all love the countryside, and there are so many competing factors in countryside. Dogs don't just worry cows, they sometimes worry horses, and ramblers leave gates open, all that kind of stuff. We've all got to be very considerate to each other because we all love the countryside, we all want to use it, but we've got to remember so do other people.